Why do you want them to listen to your podcast?
So that when they think about starting a business, they've got the content that is pointing them in the right direction.
That is such a valuable piece of advice there.
The change in mindset makes a massive difference.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
I'm 47, but you look like you're similar age, maybe.
Yeah, I look older than you, mate. I'm 44, yeah.
So that's just similar age, yeah.
Yeah.
So my wife's 5.5 years older than me, and at our age, midlife,
yeah.
What do? Ride motorbikes, or you start thinking about retirement.
You make a change, don't you? Yeah.
You start thinking differently, and retirement is in the future for us. It's not too far out to actually start thinking, well, what changes are we making? How do we make our life enjoyable so we can slow down a little bit instead of just being go, go, go?
Yeah, I guess that is the natural sort of thought progression. I must say, I haven't given retirement much of a thought yet, but but definitely I've considered what changes we can make just to, reclaim time with family. And especially one thing I will say is that, talking about our age and that, is thinking about my parents and Hayley's parents and stuff, and they are certainly in a time at the moment where it seems like health things come up more frequently. Especially that actually, and those things sort of require our time personally as well, and you kind of want to be there for them. And it's sometimes, as we all know, it's just can get really tricky. So
my parents are in their mid to late 70s. My wife's parents are in their mid to late 80s. So, when they start dealing with the big C, and, there's been several instances where they're like, oh, we've got to get tested or have a small surgery to eliminate some issues that are coming up. We start thinking about it too. I lost my brother-in-law several years ago, 10 years ago,
right,
to cancer. And so these sorts of things start making you think about it and go, okay, well, what am I doing to make the most
they
of my
do.
life?
Yeah. And you know what, like streamlining life a little bit more just makes sense. Like the older you get, whether it be, retirement or wanting to spend more time with family and kids and parents and all of that. And as you said, it also goes back to what do you do at midlife? Like do you start, you riding motorbikes or
definitely ride motorbikes,
like cars and that. It's for me, it's just been like, all right, what am I going to change up? I want to have something, a new challenge, something a bit fresh. And it's certainly serving as that the lawn space, but it's exciting. It's good. It's good to get stuck into something different.
Looking at and I've said this to a few people, but looking at how to make the best profitable business in lawn care, I mean, obviously there's a bunch of different niches you can go into, right? You can go into any sort of niche where you go into paddock slashing or you go into horticulture. You've been in horticulture, you're moving more towards lawn. Do you go, all right, let's try and make lots of money on the quarter acre blocks, which is hard work because they all want it cheap, or shall we offer extra services where we do a couple of fertilizers and broadleaf treatments and a grub treatment, and we just try and get an extra 25% out of each of our customers, or do we
look, I guess that would be our thinking for sure. And having listened to you a lot, Luke Smith, Ben Sims, and lots of other guys, that the lawn care packages, we see a lot of value in them. And I think, it goes back to what we were just talking about then as well, about really wanting to deliver a really nice result for your clients. And I think, especially here in South Australia, putting down ferts and soil wetters and pre-emergence and all manner of different things seem to really add to, the way that the health of these lawns and their appearance. So it's certainly something we're trying to implement, yes. And I should mention Ian at the Lawn Shed as well. He's been super helpful. I don't know if I'm not supposed to do that on your website
and that's
or
fine.
your podcast, but
That's
Um,
not a problem at all.
he's been really good. An awesome resource, and he's really helped us come up with a lawn care package that we're happy with. So it's been good.
I've looked at this over the last 3 years I've been podcasting because it's been brought to my attention over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
How to find the ideal customer that will want to pay a little bit more so their lawn looks good, and then can you get them into a package? My old cliche is I've got the worst possible customer, I've got my best possible customer, I've got my most painful customers, right?
Yeah.
Those are the customers I want, not the ones I don't want. If I don't want them, they're not a customer, right?
Mm.
But in terms of packages, you're going to go for your base package, which is your minimum. And then you're going to go for your ideal package, which is in the middle. And you're going to go for your most extreme package, which is like if the customer is painful and they want everything.
Mm. Mm.
So if you're looking at packages like that, if you go to a quarter acre block or a half acre block where it's an older subdivision, they don't have the money to spend on packages. They want $50 cuts, less than 20 cuts a year. Or the amount of customers I've had where I've literally done less than 12 cuts a year because they just keep delaying. And I don't do that anymore. But
Yeah.
I know when I've done that, there's a lot of other people have done the same thing. If you look at newer subdivisions where there's a newer house where somebody's just going, I take pride in my property, I want to look better than the neighbours, that's where a lawn care package is more likely to get success and more likely affordable because they're not a quarter acre. And I think the cost per square meter often comes into this, right? If you're talking 100 square meters of lawn, that's a newer property. Maybe 200 square meters of lawn, it's a newer property. You don't find old properties where there's less than 200 square meters of lawn, not very often.
Yeah. I don't
In
know.
that
It's
size,
yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. Like in terms of the clients I work with currently, yeah, most of their lawns would be over the 200 squares. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a few,
yeah.
I guess there's anomalies everywhere, but
So
yeah.
the thing is, if you're talking a per square meter rate for any sort of package, because as soon as you're going from lawn mowing to doing a treatment type plan, whether it's a fertilizer or a liquid treatment of some sort, or an aeration or a lawn reno, per square meter rates, they're affordable in those properties that have got less than 200 square meters. And once you're up over 400 square meters, you are going to have a much higher rejection rate on those plans.
Yeah, and that was a really interesting point when we were speaking yesterday that you did raise, and I thought it was very clever actually because you're right. Because you're very right. Like if you're charging anywhere between $10 and $15 per square meter for a reno, and you're doing it on a 900 square meter lawn, like that's a lot of money. And yeah, people will by by the very cost of that just reject that more often than not, I guess.
Yeah.
But going back down to the 200-300 square meter, it's probably a little bit more palatable.
Yeah, and there will be people with quarter acre, half acre, and even 5 acre properties that want a full lawn reno, and it's still a per square meter rate. Or maybe you can come up with a more efficient rate when you're doing a job where you're in one place for one time. I talked to somebody last week who was doing one where he had a team of 5 people there for a whole day. I'm sure he could work out a slightly better rate when he can say, I've got my team sitting in one place for a whole day, rather than doing 20 lawn renos or 5 lawn renos, whatever you might be able to squeeze into a day with smaller properties.
Yeah. The other thing about lawn renos as well is they're like arduous on the body, but they're like, I do like doing them.
Yeah.
Like I do. Well, yeah, no, I do like doing them, but I like the result afterwards a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when everything starts coming back in and it's just a nice, lush, very cuttable lawn. There's something very like rewarding about that.
Yeah. So when you're chasing the perfect customer, this is where you start offering these plans. And it's also where you're going to move more towards a cylinder mower or a robotic mower to get the finish that the customer wants. And if you can sell a robotic mower to a customer who's got between 100 and 400 square meters of lawn, they're going to appreciate the quality because it always looks like it's cut. If you sell them on cylinder mowing, I know there's a lot of people that will do fortnightly cylinder mowing, and then they might use a PGR to stop the grass growing too fast, so it always looks nice. But mostly with cylinder mowing, you need to be cutting once or twice a week, maybe even more. I know if you're talking golf course quality, then they are cutting daily with a cylinder.
I mean, no, you're right. Like currently I only actually cylinder mow. It's not done as much here, I don't think, as it is out west. I know there's guys that do it here that probably know more than me. But I only have sort of one cylinder mowing client at the moment, and that is done every week. And it's probably on the cusp. You could probably do it as you say, twice a week.
I don't think there's a lot of people in South Australia that do cylinder mowing. So if you go and find Jared Summer and give him a cuddle, you'd probably find you're the only two that I know of.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I'm only doing one lawn with the cylinder mower at the moment, but they started out as a maintenance client too, and
awesome.
I don't know. Like, I hope to do more of it though. There's something real rewarding about cylinder mowing. Like, I do like doing it.
Yeah. I was cylinder mowing my own backyard before I put the robot on it, and I was doing it 2 or 3 times a week with the cylinder mower, and that was costing me several hours, like probably an hour and a half each time I mowed it, sometimes more, like 2 hours
but
each time.
Do you ever miss mowing it though?
No.
Really?
No
I guess
way.
you're getting enough mows in elsewhere.
Oh yeah, I'd much rather be standing on the back of the right ZK61 than pushing the cylinder around. But
actually, Gary, that leads me. So I know that you're sponsored by Right, right? But what are your thoughts on? There's so much bloody information on standers out there. It's really hard when you're newish to wrap your head around which one, and is the short answer that, because what I read a lot, it's about the dealer closest to you. Like, often a lot of information is about, listen, just get one, where there's a dealer near you. And that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And does that mean that all, like, say if you lined up, Toro, Wright, Hustler, however, many you want to do, Gravely, whatnot, at 36 inch, are they all fairly similar? Like, do you know what I mean?
Look, this is a really tough question to answer, right? I'll try and be as unbiased as I can. The Right is the best machine. The Right is the best machine. Shall I say it again? The Right is the best machine. Right. Now, in all seriousness, if you put them all beside each other, they will have little differences where you go, this one's better than that. And there are things that make it significant. But overall, they are all designed to cut grass and do a good job. And the question is going to come around to whether it is commercial quality. Will it last 4,000 hours? A residential machine, 500 hours is probably the most you get out of it. A decent commercial machine, you expect the machine to do 1,000 hours basically trouble-free. And if it's maintained well, 2,000 hours trouble-free, but 4,000 hours is completely achievable on a commercial machine.
Cool. Okay. Hey, any thoughts on the I think it's called the Greenworks Optimus Z? Optimus Z?
They've got a 32-inch machine in the Greenworks range, yeah?
Yeah.
Good machine. I haven't used one yet. I'm begging Gary from Greenworks to get me a demo.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the quality of that machine, I've interviewed a guy in New Zealand who's using one, and yeah, they are an awesome machine. So
yeah, I reckon I've contacted the same guy. Yeah. Because I saw he was. Is he from Quiet Lawns?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah. He was a lovely guy.
Yeah, he is.
And he gave some great information to me about that, because I was interested in that machine. But
yeah.
So you reckon the Right though? You still reckon the Right in a 32?
Yeah, I would lean towards the 32 instead of the 36. Just my personal thoughts on it. It's going to be a better commercial machine, whereas the 36 might be more prosumer instead of commercial.
Gotcha.
But in general, and I could go into specifics as to why the Right's the best machine there. And there are advantages, like I say, with each of the machines. You will find that. But
Do you know any right dealers in South Australia? Because I've got to tell you, do you know, it seems like the stand-on market here is pretty limited.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I know with South Australia, there are issues in terms of whether you've got good dealers that support you or not. And I will have to get back to you with where to get a right in South Australia. You can get one, and just have to get back to you on
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of who's going to support you with that. But
No worries.
yeah, I will. I'll get an answer for you.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But
That'd be good.
yeah.
I mean, look, like we were talking about, though, I'm probably not. Honestly, I'm probably not even in the market for the stander yet. Anyway, it's just something that I'm really interested in doing and moving towards. But do you know, at the moment, if I'm totally honest, I think part of my message to you was about some other kit as well.
Yeah.
Because predominantly our business hasn't been around lawn mowing, a lot of our lawn mowing equipment is pretty basic. It's like Mazport, and a lot of them, in fact, all of them aren't self-propelled. I think I've got 4 Mazports, Honda Whippies, Shindewa Whippies.
Yeah, and that's
I mean,
fine.
steel
When it
blowers. Yeah, and do you know what? They all sort of do the trick for now.
Well, the other thing is they don't just do the trick, but the Massport machines, they do a good job. That's not
Yeah, I believe
terrible.
they do.
It's great.
Yeah, I believe they do. Yeah.
So people who use the Massport machines commercially rave about them. They do a really nice cut. They do a great finish. They're lightweight. They're easy for you to push around. If you want to go to a self-propelled machine, chances are it's going to weigh twice as much.
Well, that's why the Mazport, like
Yeah.
just getting them off and on like utes and that, they're so light.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like for some of these bigger properties, probably is something we haven't touched on. I probably am in the market for, as you said, the Honda 216 or any thoughts on the differences between the Turf Master and Time Master? And I know
Yeah.
one's meant to be like residential, one's meant to be commercial, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
So I don't have any actual experience with either of these machines, but I have
Okay.
spoken to a lot of people because of my podcasting, and even before the podcasting. Time Master over the Turf Master every day. Time Master is the residential quality, the consumer level machine. The Turf Master is the commercial machine.
Yeah.
Get the Time Master. Go and talk to one of 3 or 4 people that run the Time Master and have modified them for commercial use.
Okay.
So they
Modified them.
replace pulleys and a couple of bits and pieces so that they don't break, because the pulleys have a problem, the belts have a problem, and you fix those issues, and the Time Master gives you a better finish, does a better job than the Turf Master, hands down.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So people
Brilliant.
even go to the trouble of replacing the motor on the Time Master with a more commercial, stronger, more powerful motor because the Time Master is so much better than the Turf Master.
Wow. Okay. And quite a bit cheaper, yeah?
I believe so, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think the Time Master is quite affordable. I think it's just over $2,000 from memory.
Yeah. How much is a new 216?
Just under $2,000. I think they might be around 1,800 or just under.
Yeah. And the width of the 216
Is 21 inches.
Yeah, 21, and the Time Master 30 inch, yeah?
Yeah. So the other thing that I would highly recommend for your business here, depending on how many employees you've got and the trust level you have with them, is to look at the battery powered machines. So you go to the Ego commercial, I think it's a 22-inch machine.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. You look at the Pellenc 24-inch machine, again, it's phenomenal. And you go to the Greenworks 30-inch machine, and there'll be a bunch of other 30-inch machines that hit the market by the time we blink. But those 3 options there, so 22-inch, there you go. It's probably the best standard for battery-powered mowers in that size, like your standard cut width 21, 22-inch machine, self-propelled, lightweight, easy. Like you can store it vertical because it's not got petrol and oil and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like
it's
that.
light enough to carry up and down stairs, all those sorts of things. The Pellenc is an absolutely awesome machine as well. It's
Do you reckon the Ego, though? Because I have heard you mention the Ego before, so I'm very interested in it because I already have, sometimes a lot of what dictates your direction is some of the equipment you already have. And so I've got, years ago, I actually when battery was pretty new, I changed a lot of our petrol gardening equipment to Husky.
Yeah.
And I was pretty dubious about the move. I was a bit like, oh, how's this going to go? And, surprisingly, it's been quite good.
It has.
And
I've
then
done
the
the same
Ego
thing.
stuff's come out, and the Ego stuff's pretty good as well, I've got to say, for the gardening. I don't know a lot about the lawn stuff.
I've got a lot of experience with Husky. Husky have not paid me a cent. They have not paid for a tool. They haven't given me any freebies. And I will tell you, I like my Husky gear. There have been a couple of issues when it comes to the dealerships with warranty and stuff like that, but Husky gear has been pretty good.
Yeah.
I am paid by Ego, full disclosure. So,
yeah.
In saying that, Ego are great. The
Yeah.
tools that I have got with Ego, I love them. They are good tools. I don't have the commercial Ego mower, but yeah, I believe in it. 22-inch machine. The changes they have made on our recommendations, so users of that machine in Australia have said, hey, Barry, fix this. Barry's gone back to the factory and said, fix it, and they've done it.
Yeah.
So any
pretty good.
minor issues, they have gone, yep, this is important for the commercial use that this machine's aimed at. Let's get it sorted.
So just off the top of your head, just like I'm doing a bit of a comparison in my head. So what would the Ego commercial, is that 21 inch?
22 inches, yeah.
22 inch. So that would be comparative to the 216, the Honda
Yes.
2. Yeah. And have you talked to guys that have used both and
look, I would say the Ego is in front of the 216 when it comes to power, and
wow,
when it comes to mulching grass. I know you don't mulch, but when it comes to mulching grass, it's got a bar blade, whereas the 216 has the swing back blades. So the mulch finish on the Ego is going to be better. The 216 is going to be in front of the Ego when it comes to your lowest cut height and giving you a really low scalp. If you want that, the 216 is better than the Ego. There are a couple of things with the Ego that they have changed because they were a problem. So they had a spring that was digging into the grass when you're doing your lowest cut height. They've changed that now. So the newest one comes out, doesn't have that in the road. And a couple of other things like that. But yeah, overall, I would choose the Ego over the Honda at the moment for most.
Interesting.
I think some people are still going to prefer petrol because they can just carry a bigger petrol drum and refill.
Yeah. But for me, what I'm thinking is I already have 2, 3, like 12 amp Ego batteries, which aren't cheap.
Yeah.
So I'm like, thinking maybe the Ego is not such a bad move,
That's a great move. So you might want to get another battery though, because you can chuck 2 of those batteries in the commercial Ego at once and then off you go.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yep.
A lot of people have been asking about which brand of battery tool to buy, and I don't like to recommend one brand of battery for everyone or every situation. Dealer support and access to parts and service all play a big role in that decision. Some brands have better tools for specific needs or each product category. I've been using a variety of brands, and I endeavour to provide unbiased interviews on Aussie Lawn Stars with as many of those product brands as possible. I reached out to Ego Power Plus through the podcast because of how Barry supports the industry and Ego owners. Barry has impressed me with his loyalty to customers in providing support and listening to the needs of the industry, which has resulted in a full lineup of new commercial tools landing in Australia over the last 12 months that has positioned Ego as a leader in the commercial tool space for outdoor power equipment. Visit egopowerplus.com.au to see if they have the tools you need today.
Do you know what else was interesting? Just quickly, I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but
right.
I need a new blower. Like with a couple. I've got an old Echo blower, and it's been really good, but it's just sort of it's old and it's almost had it. Yeah. I was looking into the Ego commercial blower last night, and it's saying it's like the most powerful blower on the market right now.
There's a few people that claim they've got the most powerful most powerful blower on the market, right?
Yeah.
Ego, they brought one out. It's close to 2 years ago now, 1,300 meters an hour, and it is awesome. Like I think it's 28 Newton meters of force. So when you're talking,
so it's a small cyclone.
When you're talking about blowers' capacity to move wet leaves, there's several factors. One is the pressure. Right. So if you're talking like an air gun that's from an air compressor, that's pressure, high pressure.
Yep.
The other one is airflow or volume. That's its ability to move a lot of air at once. right? So pressure and volume are opposing each other. You can pack down the pressure by going into a narrower tube. You can increase the volume by going to a wider tube. So they sort of oppose each other. Newton meters of force is sort of your gauge as to how well that combined works.
Yeah, well, I was sort of I was actually comparing ego with husky, and the husky didn't seem to
the
come
ego
close.
that's 2 years old now, 28 Newton meters of force, and there's not a lot of battery blowers that actually match that. A lot of them are around 17, some of them are down around 12, some of them are under 10 Newton meters of force. But overall, I would buy a battery blower regardless of the brand compared to
You
buying
would
a
or you
petrol
wouldn't?
handheld blower. I would get the battery.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The only difference there, and I've said this so many times on my podcast, is backpack blowers, because the worst acceptable backpack blower that I use is the BR600. And I say the worst acceptable. It's up around 32 Newton meters or somewhere like that in force. But it's the things it comes down to is volume as well as force. So it can move a lot of leaves and it can move wet stuff off the hard surfaces quickly.
Yeah.
And it has enough petrol to run for an hour. So there are
I know
instances.
there's a lot of guys that love backpack blowers, and I haven't ruled them out either. I'm just sort of, when you're sort of thinking about a new piece of kit, I was just sort of doing my, your due diligence on it. I mean, the backpack blowers are cool. I've never had one, and I was just sort of thinking, is it going to be a bit of a pain to, literally like grab it off, like put it on your back, and then,
Yes.
do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas obviously, normally you just grab a handheld blower, bang, off you go, kind of thing.
So these are the two things, right? Handheld blower, I've got my ego, and it is the best tool I've got available when it comes to handheld blowers. Yeah, I've had quite a few battery blowers and petrol blowers. The ego handheld blower is my first go-to for any blow job. But
Yeah.
if I need to do a car park or I'm working in the wet, the backpack blower, the petrol backpack blower is my go-to. So that's what determines which blower I'm using for which job. If I need to operate for an hour straight, the backpack blower. If I need to blow wet stuff or I need to blow a lot of leaves and grass, then the backpack blower. But if it's just grabbing a blower in a hurry, the handheld ego, it is awesome. It does a great job. It is almost as good as a backpack blower, but it's not there.
Yeah. No, that's a hell of a wrap. You've got me thinking. Think it could be a go.
Yeah, for what you're doing, grab yourself a 5 or a 7.5 amp battery for that blower. If you get the kit, they come with 2 5 amp batteries.
Yep.
But I've said this.
Do they take the 12 amp?
Oh yeah, but heavy.
I know.
That's why I'm saying get the kit with the 2 5 amp batteries, or get the skin and get a couple of 7.5. So I run the 7.5 amp battery on the blower.
Okay.
Now, if you increase your battery size, not changing anything else, just going from the 5 amp to the 7.5 amp, you get more blowing force.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
So same voltage, just more amp hours in the battery. It means that it delivers that power harder.
Yep. I think I'm going to do a bit more reading on the old ego blower then. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is I actually prefer the balance of the ego blower with a slightly heavier battery on it. The 12 would be too much, but the 7.5, I believe, is the best balance in terms of it feels better in the hand and gives you that higher performance and longer runtime.
Gotcha. Okay.
I wouldn't go bigger. The 10 amp, I've run it on the blower, and yes, it increases the force, but the weight is too much, and the 12 amps is going to be too much.
Yeah, actually, the cylinder mower that we have, and I sort of got this cylinder mower before, I'd sort of committed to going into the lawn care, but I have a cylinder mower called the Alette Sterling, which is, it's okay. It does the job. That's the reason I have those 12 amps. With that. I mean, ideally, I'd love a Mow Master or something like that, but I'm just not quite. I think I just got to temper the wants with what we can actually afford and what we need as well.
Yeah, I would grab an Alette Sterling cylinder mower because I've already got the ego batteries, and I like cylinder mowers, but I really don't have a use case for it at the moment. So it's a hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard
Yeah.
thing. What are they, about $3 or $4 to get that mower?
Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not cheap, and it's sort of like the cartridges that. I mean, what appealed to me was just that easy, like quick release cartridge thing.
That actually makes it almost worthwhile because you can swap the cutting cartridge out for a VertiCut cartridge.
Yeah.
That's actually tempting to get that mower just so I
Oh,
can
mate,
do some
it's
VertiCuts.
awesome, and they're not lying. Like it literally, I don't know, it takes like 15 seconds or whatnot to just you undo 2 clamps. There's a big like thing that you take off, pull it out.
If you're gonna do a bit of a lawn reno at the moment, battery tools wise, you're looking at fairly lightweight, like Ryobi quality, or you go to the Husqvarna Scarifier, which is basically a lawn rake, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you go to something like the Allet Sterling, which has got the actual VertiCut cartridge in it, which is still battery powered. So that gives you a battery option. Doing a proper VertiCut.
Yeah.
It's tempting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
And of course, it's got the Ego battery.
They're an
So
awesome
that's
piece of kit.
perfect.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love it. But and I don't know this, but I don't know that you'd want to use the Allet Sterling, like sort of guys that are, fully into commercial lawn, like commercial residential lawn care, if that makes sense. Like day in, day out, compared to like a Mowmaster that feels so well built. Like it's such a beautiful machine. The Allet, in my experience, just feels, it's just a little bit, I don't know, plastic, I guess.
I guess for cylinder mowing, if you're in WA, you wouldn't consider it because Mowmaster and MEY is the other brand. I think that's it, MEY. So those are the two machines people are going to go for in WA because it's a cylinder mower. You can swap cartridges and put different cartridges in either of those machines to set them up for doing your lawn renos. And yeah, hands down, it's a commercial machine, whereas the Sterling is not a commercial machine by comparison. But for somebody who wants to do an occasional like for me, it'd be a case of just going, I've got a little bit of buffalo that's getting a little bit spongy. I want to just rip the sponginess out of that buffalo with a quick Vertimo. Yeah. That'd be ideal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yep. And I also, and I'm not ruling out the fact that people could use the Allet Sterling for contract work either. It's just whether or not, I don't know, but who knows how long it'd last if you were day in, day out sort of, it just might.
For people who are cylinder mowing full time or they're doing lawn renos at a commercial level, then your dedicated machines, your full top-end commercial machines are the only way to do it. And I don't think battery is there for that. It's interesting.
Mowmaster's pretty good, like far out. Like, I mean, I don't have a heap of experience with Mowmaster stuff, but I actually bought a Mowmaster Vertimower just because we are doing, renos and stuff at the moment too. And I didn't want to just use the Allet for that. And this thing is so beautifully made. Like it's just, it's really good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And even then, the Mowmaster is such a simply designed machine. There would be ways of improving it, right? But I think the simplicity is actually where the benefit comes in too, because they've made it simple and strong for commercial use.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Strength, It's like this thing's built like a tank.
Which that's half of the reason why you buy a Mowmaster.
Yeah. And you pay for it too. Man, it hurts, but it's good. It's good. But
for sure.
But yeah.
Oh, I think we've answered your question reasonably well. Is there anything?
I think we've covered the question and lots of other stuff. Really.
I'll say one more thing about stand-on mowers and ride-on mowers. So I know you said you're not doing acreage, but the size mower that you buy, I think, comes down to two things: what's going to be ideal for the work you do, and what's going to be ideal for how you transport it. And 9 times out of 10, people are buying based on what they can physically transport. So if you're talking,
that's a really good point. Yeah,
an average ride-on mower, 42-inch will fit in a 6x4 trailer. So people go to a 42-inch mower, and Wright has the best commercial 42-inch mower unless you're going for a walker with a grass handling system. Outside of that, people tend to go for a 52-inch mower because they can fit it on a 5-foot wide trailer. After that, you start going, okay, I need a dedicated trailer that can transport something that's 60 or 70 inches wide, which means you're now buying based on your needs more than based on what you can transport. And when you go down to your size, the 32 or the 36-inch machine, it's more about what you can fit through a gate.
Yeah, totally.
But then also they'll put a dedicated mower box on the front of the trailer. So instead of inside the existing compartments of the trailer, they'll have a dedicated mower box on the front that can fit a 32-inch machine or a 36-inch machine. And that's about as big as you'd want to go on the drawbar.
You reckon one of those standard mower boxes on the front of a trailer would fit a 32 stand-on?
Standard mower box? I don't know if there's such thing as a standard mower box, but I'm going to say no.
Yeah. Maybe there's not. Yeah.
You'd need to check it. So a standard mower box is probably made to fit a 21-inch machine, and then there are a lot of mower boxes that are made for fitting a 30-inch Time Master. Whether they can fit a 32-inch stand-on machine is another
Might be a bit of a squeeze, eh? Yeah.
But if you jump on LMCA and you have a look at the amount of people who have got a 32-inch machine that is on a mower box on the front of their drawbar, it's like, yep, that can be done. It is done. Even 42-inch machines are sitting in front. So typical trailer design for people who are using a walker with a grass handling system, they have the box that's between the dual axles designed to tip, and it's just for putting your grass clippings in. And then you have your walker with its high lift, high dump system actually goes in front of that box on a mower box. So a 42-inch machine sitting in front of the axle, and then your grass box sitting in between the axles.
So, quick question. If, say, you weren't to get a stander, which walker would you recommend with a grass collection? What do you think? Just like...
So there's two that I'll recommend, but any of them are good.
Yeah.
Any of them will do what you need to do. If you go for like the S series or the C series, they sort of become residential or consumer level quality to some degree.
Yeah.
But they will still do a fantastic job with the grass handling system. They are made to do a fantastic job. The biggest difference will come in terms of commercial everyday, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day use. The two machines that are worth recommending are the T series and then the D series. So the T series is your fuel injected petrol engines, and the D series are your diesel engines. And if you're using it 5 days a week with a grass handling system, you want a high dump.
Yeah.
You will regret it if you don't get a high dump.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So there's a lot of them that don't have a high dump, but if... Sorry about this. I didn't put my phone on silent.
Yeah, all good.
Fix that.
All good.
Yeah, so a lot of people will use it without a high dump, and that's fine. If you're working on a commercial site all the time where you can dump it straight into a green waste bin on site, then it's not a problem. But if you're running it in a trailer, you want the high dump so you can dump it straight into the trailer instead of moving it to a bag and then to the trailer.
Yeah, for sure.
You pay a bit. So the T series, you're going to be up close.
You pay a bit, like far out, you know.
I think, the T series, which is the petrol version, I think you're up around the $50,000 mark to get the 42-inch or 48-inch machine with the high dump.
It's funny, you know, through some of this research I've been doing, like obviously Walker, a fantastic machine, but, you know, a lot of people have said that they can be a little bit temperamental. Is that something you've found as well?
No, not at all.
Yeah, right.
No, the people I have heard call them temperamental are people who have bought somebody else's problem. They bought a secondhand machine that's already half worn out or got some issues. Typically speaking, no. If you buy a walker, there's a couple of things that are worthwhile because it is a commercial machine. Know your maintenance. Make sure you do your maintenance routinely. It's textbook stuff. If you do that well, typically you don't have a problem. I've had several walkers, and each walker, I realised with the first one that they were going to develop a slight oil weep on the back seal of the motor. It's a Kohler engine. I love the Kohler engines, but everything has its faults, and those would develop a slight oil weep on the back seal of the motor, somewhere between 600 and 1,000 hours. So I just booked them in. Once I hit that sort of 500 or 600 hour mark, it's like, hey, shop, you're going to be doing a service on this engine, and you're going to be fixing the oil weep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's like a lot of different pieces of machinery with, moving parts and engines and stuff. You got to keep up with the service component of it.
Yeah, I mean, there are little things with each machine. Like some machines have been known to have the fan on your hydros get caught in a belt and destroy the fan, stuff like that, or the belt systems changed from one model to the other. I found with the B series walkers that I had, they changed the belt pulleys systems between the first one I had and the last one I had, and it was a massive improvement. But yeah, no dramas. They were good.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the walkers, but obviously the price is just such a I mean, at the stage I'm at anyway, it's just not really an option. But
I'll put it to you like this. I've talked to a lot of people when they ask the question, what mower should I get? And I actually talk them out of getting a ride-on or a stand-on mower. And a lot of the time it's like, okay, tell me the size jobs that you do. I wouldn't put a walker on those jobs that you tell me that you do at the moment first.
Yeah, okay. It's not big enough.
If you were aiming for 800 square meters to an acre, walker, definitely.
Yeah.
If you're
Thing
talking
is, though,
200,
Gary, you never
400
know. And I feel like the stage I'm at in business with this, this lawn care thing is it's like this ever evolving thing. When you have an idea about something, it sort of continues to change. And but where we're at right now, and where we're actually planning on heading is in between that 200 and that sort of 900 square meter mark. So
I would even say I'd be reluctant to recommend a stander for you, just based on the customers you have currently. The 32-inch stander, I think, is a good choice for you, but I do think that you want to be doing your numbers. There's so many people who have bought a 32-inch stander and then sold it because they only used it one day a fortnight and barely used it on that day. And
no, you're right. No, look, I don't think we're there yet. Absolutely not. As I said to you previously, I think it'll be interesting, to check back in a few months and see how the process of getting clients is going.
Well, this is where things get a bit more interesting, right? Your business is such that you've got employees. You're building a business where you're trying to target new customers. That's where I do encourage people to start going, all right, if I buy a tool that I might not have all of the customers for at the moment, but I have enough customers to justify the experiment, buy the stander, and then try and build a run that is revolving around the new tool that I've bought.
Yes. And I think that's where my mind is heading. I mean, we haven't even actively started advertising, and I haven't mentioned to you, but we're sort of in the process of like a complete rebrand of the current business as well. So there's a few moving parts or sort of a few ducks to get in a row before we pull the trigger on something like a standard. But I think in the near future, it may be an option to go with.
The question I throw back at you, and this is where I start saying, hey, we're almost on the verge of business coaching here. If you want actual business coaching, I'm going to charge you $200 plus GST every time we talk, and I'm going to ask you to action something and come back, and don't bother paying me $200 and don't come back and ask me the next question unless you've made that action, right? So the question I'll throw to you here is along those lines. So where is your ideal customer at the moment? Where do you want them to be in 12 months' time? And are you confident that you can build your business model around that? To me, it sounds like your ideal customer is actually using a push mower or a cylinder mower and offering them 25% to 100% markup by moving from just mowing to offering them products and renos.
I would agree with that for sure. I guess yeah, I guess the appeal of the stander is more about the volume thing, the speed thing, rather than. And then if you were to incorporate that with packages and upselling people on, the different grades of packages, I just saw a bit of an inroad there. I thought there was a little bit of an opportunity.
Do you have a position to start both of those lines, like actually going to your current customers and offering them that upgrade of going, no, I want to put you on a package?
I've done it already. In fact, almost all of our current maintenance clients, I've put them on lawn care packages. Because the reason I got this idea about the lawn care packages was my clients predominantly are high end and
Yes.
have nice gardens and are fairly affluent people, and a lot of them we'd had discussions around their lawn as well, and people were saying like, how do I, what do I do, or what would you recommend? And it sort of just got me thinking. People are asking me questions about
Yes.
wanting to improve their lawns already. I wonder what the wider market looks like. And that's what
I would say to you, let's talk in 6 months.
Mm,
Refine those customers. So just keep on refining them so that you're building that side of your business. I think it's absolutely fantastic where you've got customers who want to be on a package, and weigh up whether you are willing to start a new stream of customers where it's about that efficiency of getting more bigger lawns done with a stand on. So if you're going to pull the pin on it, you want to have some customers already where you know that the stand on is going to be more efficient than your current option. And if you can build up customers where you go, okay, we're doing, instead of 200 to 400 square meters, we're doing 400 to 1,000 square meters and maybe even bigger with that 32-inch stander. If you want to do it, I would say your biggest focus at the moment is on those customers who have packages, and then your second focus, if you're going to increase business, might be on those customers who are almost like more lifestyle blocks rather than small blocks.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it?
So that would be interesting to talk to you in 6 to 12 months' time and see.
For sure. Yeah,
how many
it
of those
will be
customers you've
interesting.
got.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it will. I guess. Yeah, the big sort of ace in the hole that we have at the moment, we're really lucky to still have, the current business models in place though, and that sort of safety net, and that is allowing me some freedom to push the lawn care side of the business, but also be a little bit careful about who we choose to bring on and why.
For sure.
So I don't know. It will be an interesting 12 months for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's been good talking to you, Forrest. I've
you too,
enjoyed this
mate.
one.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.